This is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host, Chris Camello. What's up, Chris?
Going a little later tonight, but what is this? Outlet Form After Dark.
Outlet Forum After Dark. We got a great show for you guys coming up. Wemby dropping 50 over the Wizards tonight. We got 13-0 start for the Cavs. Is that real or fake, Chris? We'll get into that. Along with also, are the Bucks or the Sixers off to the worst start? I can't tell. Giannis is pissed. Even though Giannis dropped 59 in a huge win, we'll get into a little bit of that. Also, Steph spoils Klay's return to the Bay. And Chris, we got to start first. We got to start first with these Lakers because you rocking the Lakers hat. I got the Dodgers championship shit on. I'm still on a high from that awesome parade. It's been weeks. I'm still just getting the chills on that. But Chris, the Lakers are officially 6-0 at home. They keep rolling, but somehow it was Dalton Connect that was the key spark. He has a career high off the bench, 6 threes in the game, and he just kept shooting, and kept hitting. Chris, what do you make of not only LeBron and AD doing their thing, but the Lakers finally getting some bench production and beating up a Grizzlies squad that they just lost to last week with Ja Morant out on a week-to-week basis with that hip that's been bothering him for a while. What do you make of the game, and how is this bold for the Lakers moving forward?
Before I get analytical, I'm just going to say 2 words from the legendary Snoop Dogg. It's about the West Coast Connect.
It's the
Dalton
West Coast
Connect. The West Coast Connect. Forget Connect 4. I mean, it's not a bad nickname, but Dalton Connect is the West Coast Connect. And tonight, on a night, what were the 2 criticisms we had of this team, Chaz? Lack of front court depth is one, which we'll get into with the latest injury to Jackson Hayes, and the fact that they're getting nothing from their bench. $35 million that they're spending on a handful of guys, Max Christie, Gabe Vincent, who's the other one? Jared Vanderbilt, who hasn't even stepped on the floor this season. They're getting nothing, but it's a kid who, for whatever reason, out of Tennessee, slipped to the number 17 pick in the Lakers' hands, and he was a big reason why they won this game on tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies. 19 points off the bench. He had a couple of dimes. He got into it with Jason LaRavia right there, so he shows he's got some backbone. I'm a big fan of him, and you're going to see him go through the rookie struggles. Not every night is going to be like this, but right now he is etching his name into this rotation, if nothing else, because he could score the basketball. And if Vincent's not going to get the job done, if Christie's not going to get the job done, if none of these other guys are going to be able to get the job done, you know what? Step back. I got this. And you know what? He was fantastic tonight. So shout out to the West Coast or West Side Connect, whatever you want to call them. Dalton Connect is the real deal. Exactly. And by the way, just a quick, but before I hand it off to you, the player comp that I came up with, I was just texting my brother and my friend this. Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Atlanta Hawks, and I don't know if you remember Ersan İlyasova, the Turkish
Ilyasova.
Spent a lot of years with the Milwaukee Bucks. That's who I think he reminds me of. But yeah, really impressive game. They don't win this game without him.
His game is good, man. His game is it flows good. He can shoot pretty well. Obviously, JJ Redick has called Dalton Connect a pure shooter. Dalton Connect played so well. He should be the lead down there. Lakers 6-0 at home due to Dalton Connect hitting some threes finally. Gabe Vincent, I don't know where he's been at. D'Lo, so inconsistent. Rui actually looking better. Jackson Hayes looking better. But here's the thing. LeBron and AD are really leading this team, especially AD. This is a game that he definitely would not have played in if this was maybe a different coaching staff or if this was maybe a different time a few years ago. But AD is toughing it out. Doesn't want to wear goggles, obviously, for whatever reason. I think because he doesn't want those old pictures to be matched up with the new pictures of him with goggles. That's just my personal opinion. But AD played great, especially in that fourth quarter. But LeBron, like, to be in year 22, putting up 35 a game, like hitting threes, walking off, at the buzzer, like, it's just amazing, man. So
I got a stat for you real quick on LeBron. According to Underdog NBA, LeBron James is the oldest player to record 3 straight triple-doubles, 39 years, 319 days old. The previous record was held by LeBron James, 340
who else?
310 days old.
I mean, he dropped 35, 14, and 12, and he had 11 defensive rebounds, meaning that he was really boxing out, really crashing the glass, leading by example. I mean, Gabe Vincent, 13 minutes. Like, you cannot be. I mean, he was at least a +6 in that time. Dalton Connect, 19 points. Koloko with 2 lobs. D'Angelo Russell with 8 points. He should be coming off the bench. I don't know where the hell Max Christie is. Like, you thought Max Christie was going to, really come. Like, you heard JJ Redick talk about Max Christie in a very glowing light before the season, and somehow he gets the same amount of minutes as Bronny. 0 at this point. So, I mean, Max Christie got to get it together, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what it is. Chaz, if you're not producing, there can't be minutes for you. And I'm not saying it's going to stay like this forever, but you got to produce. That's the thing. No, and when you're getting nothing from your bench, Gabe Vincent is proving every day. I hate to say this, but I don't think it's far from inaccurate. He's useless on both ends of the floor. He can't make shots. And did you see how easily Scottie Pippen Jr. was getting around him tonight?
It's just confidence, Chris. It's like he's not useless. It's just confidence.
Right now,
he just needs confidence. He needs to make some shots to get his confidence going, I think. Okay. But like the offensive end affects the defensive.
Go ahead, continue.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the team. I mean, I like the move. The Lakers haven't. I don't think they've lost a game since they inserted D'Angelo Russell to the bench and Cam Reddish in for defensive purposes. So I like it. I like it at the end of the day. But the Lakers aren't the only team in the West that's getting shit done. The Warriors are off to a great start. And last night, you really got to see the brotherhood of the NBA. You really got to see the best of the NBA when you got a game like the Warriors and the Mavericks. And the Mavericks did everything they could to keep themselves in that game, taking a 7-point lead with 4 minutes to go. Screwed up my life bet because I took them on the money line to close it out. But Steph Curry goes 12-0, 12 unanswered points on his own personal run, scored the last 12 points for the Warriors to end up with 30-plus points and still doing his thing, man. And he spoils Klay's return. Klay was very, very emotional about coming back to the Bay. Chris, what did you make of not only all the boat hats that they had, all the captain hats that they had in the crowd? I thought that was pretty cool. But also, is Steph really going to keep this going like LeBron is? Like the fact that he's that great and can do a personal 12-0 run to single-handedly win the game. Like, is this what we should be used to moving forward?
Well, first of all, that's how you do a return. The way the Warriors did it, a captain's hat giveaway for an opposing player, it really was. It was a beautiful video that they put out there. 13 years with the team, 5-time All-Star, 4-time NBA player, four-time NBA champion, made the All-NBA team. And he was as big of a part of those 4 championships as anybody. And not just with the scoring. And people are going to talk about the big game 6 that he had in OKC that saved their season, right? Because they were down 3 games to 2. 2016 Western Conference Finals in Oklahoma City. He dominated that game to send the series back to Golden State, and then they would eventually win in 7 and then beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. Or I'm sorry, they would lose the Cavaliers that year. But he was also taking on all these, difficult defensive assignments, whether you're talking about guarding LeBron in the finals, guarding Kyrie Irving, guarding Durant and Russell Westbrook. Like, he took on all of these challenges. And, whether he was the number 2 as the Splash Brother or number 3 behind Stephen and Durant, he did whatever was necessary. He was as integral of a part of those championships as anybody. And I think there was a wide range of emotions, not just happiness to get that love from the fans, but also still a little bit of maybe frustration and tension with the organization because of how badly it ended. You know what I mean? I think there was a part of him who thought he was going to finish his career with the Golden State Warriors and not have to change teams at that point in his career. But you know what, Chaez? There's an old saying, everything ends badly. Otherwise, it would never end, right? There very few times where things end on a super high note. Even ask Kareem. Kareem's last game with the Lakers was getting swept out of the finals by the Detroit Pistons in '89. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Magic's last moment was getting beaten in the playoffs by the Houston Rockets in '96 and looking like a true has-been. Like, there are these times where it just doesn't always end well. So enough on that. Yeah, Steph was special last night. 12 unanswered points to end the game. He's still Chef Curry, man. That's still a 4-time champion. That's still a 2-time MVP. That's a finals MVP right there. That's the greatest shooter in the history of the game. And he was pumped up. They wanted that game last night. And right now the Warriors are looking balanced. I like their offseason pickups. Some of their young guys are starting to come into fruition. They have got basically Moses Moody, Kuminga, Buddy Hield has kind of been a Diet Coke version of Klay, but he's been solid. DeAnthony Melton's been good. Podziemski's out right now. But like every one of those guys, they've got about 9 to 10 guys. This might be the deepest Warriors team ever. It may lack star power beyond Steph. You're right about that. But they have got depth with a good mix of young players and solid vets who know their roles. So I was not surprised that they finished that game because they wanted that win last night. Steph wanted to beat Klay, and that's why they got it. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, I was. I was thoroughly surprised because you figure like when a guy returns back somewhere that he's played for a long time, the team that he plays for really rallies around him to try and get that win for that one guy. But like you said, Steph is Steph. So
right, and the Mavs did. I mean, it wasn't like the Mavs like got their butts kicked. I mean, they were in that game. They had a lead up until the very end, and they were leading for most of that game. And Klay played well, 22 points, 6 of 12 from downtown, did a little shimmy, and I think that set Steph off. You have Steph shaking his head, and he even said after the game he should have known better because that woke up a sleeping giant.
That was also an NBA Cup game. Am I correct?
You are correct. That was an NBA Cup game. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
got their
but
one coming up next week.
But was the floor different at all? Like,
oh yeah, it was. It was like gray or something.
Some shit.
To be honest, it almost looked like for a second I forgot that they were playing up in Frisco. I thought they were playing at Dallas last night.
Okay, all right. I mean, some of these floors, I'm seeing a lot of blue, a lot of red. I think they probably like you had a year to kind of spice it up a little bit with the floors but I get it. I get that. I get what they're trying to do. So I won't begrudge the NBA too much on that. But Klay did his thing. I think he's going to be big for the Mavericks, but Steph is Steph. And the fact that the Warriors are deep, it's just surprising the fact that they've been able to win a lot of games that I didn't really expect for them. Like the only loss that they have that's a real legitimate loss or the only loss I should say that's on their record is just the loss to the undefeated Cavs, who are 13-0 that we'll get into in a couple minutes. But they beat the Celtics, they beat the Rockets, they beat the Thunder, they beat the Mavericks. I mean, these are all solid teams, and they beat the Pelicans, obviously, who were just awful. So, they're down so many teams.
Can I just say one more thing, and I want you to react to this? I can't help but think, I'm gonna be like, Joe Pesci. I still can't help but think. I'm sorry. Draymond, what he said at Media Day, the moves that Mike Dunleavy made, and he thought how much they made sense. And how, they're betting on the young guys in some ways. I mean, they didn't work out an extension with Jonathan Kuminga. But the fact that they brought in these solid vets on short-term deals, more importantly, vets that fit what Steve Kerr and the coaching staff want to put out there offensively, good complementary pieces who seem to look very comfortable right away through the first 10, 12 games of the season. Draymond really saw something with this group, and now it's coming into fruition. Like, I don't know if this was a fluke. I don't know if this is a fluke. I'm not saying that they're going to win 60 games, but I also was not quick to write off the Warriors like many others were, because I'm like, let me see how this works out, because they might not end up being better than you think.
They're better they're better defensively. They're better defensively. If they weren't as good defensively, and this is a result of Draymond, My girl was talking about, she's like, Draymond doesn't even play, like he's not even good. And I'm like, man, that's just a testament to, like, in my opinion, how good he is, because he is still on the floor and he doesn't need to put up Steph Curry numbers to be a good player. You know what I mean? So shout out to Draymond for being the heart and soul. Like, they made the right decision. Could you imagine this Warriors team had they kept Klay and traded Draymond?
Yeah,
Like,
probably wouldn't be as good.
Wouldn't be as good at all. So that's enough. That's enough Warriors for the day. I can't do too much Warriors at all. But shout out to Klay. Shout out to Steph, because it's good for the game at the end of the day. But moving on really quick, there's some teams that aren't as good, and two of those teams are the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers. But Chris, like, I know we're talking about the surprising Warriors, but the question I have for you is, who is more surprising as a team right now? Is it the Bucks and their slow start? They finally got their third win. It took overtime. It took a rookie missing 2 free throws with the second left, which was a terrible call. You cannot call a foul on the 2-time MVP and Giannis when he's challenging a shot at the rim when less than a second off of a lob to the basket. I thought that was probably a pretty bad call. Even worse, that Secaucus jumped in and confirmed the call and said, yeah, go ahead and let's pause the game for 5 minutes and keep that bad call. Luckily, ball don't lie for everybody that plays. And at the end of the day, he missed 2 free throws. Giannis hits a big 3 in overtime. Lopez hits a big 3, and the Bucks survive. But the 76ers just can't get right. They lose a big game, a national TV game, to the Knicks at home, and then they turn around and lose at home, surprisingly, to the undefeated Cavs as well, who are just mopping up the entire league right now. Chris, I think I'm asking a rhetorical question, since we kind of both know what the answer is. But at this point, who's more surprising to you, the Sixers or the Bucks?
I got to go with the Bucks right now, because the Sixers could always hide behind the injury excuse.
Dame is out, by the way.
All 3 of their
Dame is out, by the way.
No, Dame is out, but they were playing badly even with a healthy Dame. Maxey went down after the first week. No Paul George for the first 2 weeks. He only just came back last week, I believe. Joel Embiid played his first game of the season last night. That team was made around those 3 stars. So if you don't have at least 2 of them in there, you're going to struggle. I mean, that's just what it is. They've got some solid role players: Lowry, Oubre, Caleb Martin, and, some of these other guys. Jared McCain, the rookie's looking really good right now out of Duke. I know my guy Grimaldi is probably feeling that. But yeah, the Bucks, there's not much excuse there. Yeah, they're down Chris Middleton, but we all were giving them the benefit of the doubt. Oh, they'll have a full season with Doc Rivers. Dame now has a year under his belt. They can get comfortable. But they have just looked atrocious. I don't even know who they are right now as a team. That's the scary part about the Bucks. Whereas with the Sixers, even Paul George said it's going to take some time. We got to see how we look with all 3 of them back into the fold, and that includes Tyrese Maxey. So they've both been, disappointing. But if you're asking me to pick one right now, it's clearly the Milwaukee Bucks. And like you said, you needed 59 from Giannis, a rookie, and then a rookie from Detroit to miss 2 free throws to beat the Pistons at home. With no Dame, that's fine. But at the same point in time, 59 from Giannis, that's the problem. They don't have any guards that could defend on the perimeter, right? Brook Lopez is clearly not the same guy. Chris Middleton had 2 ankle surgeries, so we don't even know what he's going to look like when he gets back. They are trending in the wrong direction. And the thing about it is they can't even fire Doc right now, because you're not, like I told you last week, they're not going to pay 3 head coaches, a ton of money for the next, 4 or 5 years. It's just not going to happen. So they've got to find a way to work this way out right now. Whereas I think with the Sixers, they're still in a situation where it's like, let's see what they can look like once George and at least Embiid are on the floor together, and then Maxey.
They were on the floor together tonight, and they got mopped. They were on the floor, I believe, last night.
George. Yeah, but that was their. Embiid had not played in months.
At the end of the day, I don't want to hear you haven't played and this and that. Like, you're still on the floor getting paid, regardless of if your knee's wrapped up, if you got to leave midway through the first quarter and come back in the second, whatever the case is. I think what's more surprising is the Sixers, because regardless, I mean, it's both very surprising. I thought both teams would be 3 and 4.
Top 3.
Yeah, I thought the Knicks would be 2, Celtics 1, Bucks, Sixers 3, 4, Cavs 5, and then from there. But Cavs are clearly number 2.
Orlando.
Exactly. I still thought Orlando was still on the way up, but they still got a hill to climb, especially with the injuries that they have to Paolo Banchero, who also dropped 50. Everybody's dropping 50 in the NBA these days. But it's clearly the Sixers, Chris. The Sixers are more surprising. Why? Because they're not off to the start. Their best player got suspended 3 games for shoving a reporter, right? The guy that you traded for, that you spent all this money on, can't really get right. He's starting off the season with a hyperextended knee, and then the guy that you just paid, who has been your best consistent player, even more so than Joel Embiid the last 2 or 3 years, is out for an extended period of time in Tyrese Maxey. So I know it's injuries, but at the same time, even when those guys were on the floor, I still wasn't liking their body language, their defense, just everything like that. So yes,
and I think
yes,
that
they have a lot of
starts
work to do,
Embiid.
but yes, Embiid is more important to the Sixers than Giannis is for the Bucks, or Dame is for the Bucks. I would argue that because of how they play through him so much, but he was on the court the last 2 games, and they still lost the last 2 games. So both teams.
Wait, hold on. Embiid was not on the court tonight.
And
George did not play.
Not tonight. Last game. I'm talking about last.
No, yeah, okay. No,
I did.
I was just gonna say, otherwise my fantasy really screwed me up with Embiid. No, but let me just say this about Embiid, and I think you bring up a good point. You're right. Embiid, going back to those comments he made at Media Day, I don't want to play back-to-backs, then the injury, then the shoving of the reporter, and then it's just like it sets a bad tone for the season. Now, obviously, the hamstring injury to Maxey, that's just unfortunate. And we have just seen a ton of stars go down this early in the season, which is, deplorable. Paul George, that was a fluke thing and everything. So it's hard to judge this team when George and Embiid had their first game together last night against a tough New York Knicks team. Granted, they were at home and they were competitive, but still, it's like we're not going to get an accurate picture of this team until those 3 guys are healthy. Whereas with Milwaukee, outside of Middleton, what's really been their excuse? They have played atrociously through the first 2 weeks. Yes, Dame was down in concussion protocol only recently. What was the excuse for the other 2 weeks that they played bad, Chaez?
All right. Chris,
that's why I'm saying you got to give it to Milwaukee.
I'll peel back the curtain a little bit. I just took the Sixers for the sake of the show. The rhetorical question is the Bucks, because the rhetorical answer is the Bucks, because they're not responding to Doc, and this is Doc's last job, and they already got a previous head coach sitting the next seat over in Darvin Ham, and Darvin Ham might be the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, because Doc Rivers is just not that guy. I don't think Giannis likes him. I don't think Dame likes him. I think Giannis is absolutely pissed. Did you see Giannis the other night ask that reporter, hey, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. Let me just tell you right now, if you don't want to be here, I'll tell you, you don't have to fucking be here. Do you remember him? Did you see him telling the guy that the other night? Like,
yeah. I don't even know
who that was. That was. But like in the middle of his interview, if I had it queued up, I'd play it for you guys right now. That's bad producing on my end, but
I have a theory.
What do you think?
I have a theory. I think he was yelling at the team manager who didn't want to pick up smelly underwear off the floor and do a load of laundry. I think the guy was having an issue.
I thought it was a reporter that just looked so tired and just ready to get out of there, because he's tired of hearing the same shit from these players and coaches about how much they suck every night and how they can't win a fucking game. So let's get off.
Oh man, real quick. Hold on. One comment on my Instagram. No. I want you to respond to this. I'm teeing you up right now. Okay, before we move on to the cast. No. My guy Diddy the Kid says Embiid needs some milk.
Honestly, he really does.
I wanted you to. Well, and the question I have to Diddy is, what do you think? Whole 2%, skim milk, almond milk. What do you got, Diddy?
2%. He needs 2%.
2%.
2%.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it's
You guys are
it,
too much. All right, go
it's,
ahead, brother.
it's clearly the Bucks. But we got to get into the team that just beat the 76ers to move to 13-0. The question isn't, is it surprising? Is it this? Is it that? But the question really is more so, is it real? Like, are the Cavs really like that this year? Or have they always been like that and they just really needed some change? Because here's my theory, Chris. I know I'm really supposed to ask you a question, but this just popped into my head. A lot of guys just need to change this. A lot of guys just need to change the scenery. Not only players, but coaches as well. I think Darvin Ham needed to get out of LA. I thought Kenny Atkinson needed his own ship. He's now in Cleveland doing his thing at 13-0. And you got a guy in Bickerstaff who just needed to get out of Cleveland, and he's doing great up in Detroit. And obviously, Monty, goddamn, why is his name Monty? I was gonna say Monty. Why am I saying Monty Kiffin? Monty Kiffin is Lane Kiffin's dad, but
Monty Kiffin is dead.
Right, exactly.
One.
But
and then two, he's in the NFL. You're thinking of Monty Williams, who's now coaching. I think his son.
Exactly.
His son's,
he just needed to get
team.
the fuck out of the NBA. Is what Monty Williams needed to do. But I'm just saying, everybody just needs to change the scenery. Kenny Atkinson, I think, is the biggest catalyst for the Cavs start this year. I think he's getting the most out of Evan Mobley, who's playing like an absolute all-star this year. Jared Allen is taking a little bit of a step back with more of a defensive role, and he's getting the most out of Donovan Mitchell. And you thought that Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland couldn't coexist, and they couldn't play any better than they are right now. So, Chris, obviously my answer is I think this Cavs team is real. I predicted that they would be a top 4 seed in the East last year. They were number 4. They got to the next round. I think they'll be a top 2 seed in the East given this start, and obviously pending injuries. What do you make of it?
Well, let's backtrack. Last year ended poorly, and it wasn't just the fact that they lost in 5 games to the Boston Celtics. And it wasn't just the fact that Mitchell, missed the last few games, or Karis LeVert missed the last few games. I think Mobley got hurt in that series as well against Boston. It was still overall a good season, but it ended badly. And the fact that there was tension in the locker room, I think now what you're seeing so far, it was a reflection of JB Bickerstaff. And they essentially, Chaz, pulled a page out of the Lakers book. At least the Cavs president of basketball operations, Kobe Altman, did, where it's like, this might not be a personnel issue. We might just need a new voice. And I like JB Bickerstaff, and I wish him the best of luck in where's he at right now? Detroit.
Winning games.
I thought he could have. Yeah, I thought he. Exactly. No, they're
I mean, they've only won 4 games.
Kenny Atkinson. Right. I mean, but for that team, I don't think they won 4 games up until January of last year. That's how bad they were. Yeah,
they were 4-27.
February,
they were 4-27 at one point, I believe. Like,
they were 4-27. So
yeah.
Okay, it doesn't matter. The point was Detroit was a train wreck last year. So Kenny Atkinson, I was always a fan of. Remember, he was considered a finalist for the Lakers job. And I was even saying, I like this dude. He was really solid in Brooklyn. I thought he kind of got a raw deal because Durant didn't want him there. I was curious to see what he could do with Durant and Irving. And I believe he got fired when Harden was there too. So they bring in Steve Nash. Okay, we all know how that went. He got a raw deal. But he gathered himself in Golden State, was on Kerr's staff, big part of that coaching staff the last few years. He passed on the Hornets job, which was smart. And then he gets an even better job with Cleveland, and he has brought that team together. And the thing is with Cleveland, they make sense as far as roster construction. You've got a dynamic backcourt. You've got a strong front court. You could make an argument their 3 position is a little weak, but don't forget, they're still down Max Strus right now. But they've got LeVert, who's a walking bucket. You've got Dean Wade, who's good.
You would have thought
Okoro is solid.
No,
you got Sam
but he's supposed to be that 3 guy is what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Right. But, he hasn't really gotten to that point. My point is, that's the only concern that I have, is that I still think there's a ceiling to what this team could accomplish, because I can't see them getting past Boston in a 7-game series. That's the problem. I think Boston has more guys that can match up with Cleveland than Cleveland has that can match up with Boston. For example, who guards Jason Tatum?
I mean,
right? I don't.
I mean, everybody figures it out in some way, shape, or form. But
Sure.
what unlocks the Celtics is Porzingis, not Jason Tatum, not JB. Porzingis puts everybody where they should be and allows Derek White and Drew Holiday to be ultra aggressive on the perimeter, so on and so forth. Nobody can match up with the Celtics, bar for bar, player for player right now, except for the Knicks, if and
Maybe
when
New York.
they get fully healthy, because they can throw OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, so on and so forth at them. So the Celtics are just the Celtics, but I think the Cavs they're going to be right there. They won a game against the Celtics with Porzingis, or actually without Porzingis, because he had that calf injury at that point. Actually, I thought he got that calf injury in game 1 of the Cleveland series, I believe. That series ended up going. That series go 5 games, and they won one of those games. That first game, one of those games in Boston.
Yeah, they won game 2. Yeah. They won game 2, and then Boston came back, won the next 2 in Cleveland, and then they smoked him in game 5. That to me, so when you ask me, is Cleveland for real or for not? I think they are for real. I think that they're probably going to win somewhere in the neighborhood of 55 games this year, assuming they don't suffer any injuries, which right now they've been one of the more healthier teams, minus Max Strus. But until they can find a legitimate defensive-minded 3 and a guy that Tatum or Brown have to account for, there's a ceiling to what they could accomplish. Not to mention, Donovan Mitchell has a very checkered postseason past. And that's where I think they're going to get judged on. Mitchell has had great seasons with Utah. Remember, they were like a 1 seed one year. I believe it was in 2021. And what happened? They ended up losing to a Clippers team that was bigger on the perimeter, and they were able to match up with Mitchell, and he just couldn't get around those guys. I could see that happening again, because at some point you're going to run into Boston. If not in the semis, you're going to run into them in the conference finals, but you're going to run into them unless they're banged up. So the guy that I think they should keep their eye on, Brandon Ingram, would make a lot of sense for that team.
Who would they trade? I think the Lakers should bring Bri home, is what I think. But I don't know.
That's fine.
I don't know if him and Bron would work very well together, because Bi doesn't move the ball as much. And part of the reason why the Cavs are good is because they move the ball. They're actually top 3 in the league in assist to turnover ratio. So
it's a risky move, because once again, you don't want to mess with chemistry. But I'm thinking springtime. I'm not thinking about right now in the fall, brother. You got to think about Boston right now, and you also got to think about New York. Bridges and Anunoby. Who's going to guard those guys for Cleveland? Right? I'm just saying, these are things you have to worry about over the course of a 7-game series.
Good points, man. I like it, but
and Kenny Atkinson, Coach of the Year right now.
Of course, he hasn't lost a fucking game. Getting to the last topic. Great topics tonight, Chris. We got some good stuff. I'm glad the league is back, because I've been getting pretty caught up in college football and NFL, but the league is back, and ball night is every night in this household. So
by the way, my guy Grimaldi wants us to talk more about Dalton Connect. What do you have anything else to say on Dalton Connect? The guy's money.
He really just needs to get in a rhythm. You credit LeBron specifically for his hot streak, because LeBron, after he hit those first couple, he notices a hot hand earlier in the first quarter. Rui had the hot hand. He was feeding Rui. Dalton Connect got going. He was feeding him. So credit LeBron for that, because not only did he get himself going with that 35-point triple-double, he noticed who else had the hot hand in the first and the fourth quarter, and Rui and Dalton Connect. So shout out to LeBron for helping out the young rook get going. Now, to the last topic really quick, I want to mention Wemby dropping 50, because this is this isn't a small thing. And the reason for me why it really isn't a small thing is because Paolo Banchero dropping 50 in his third season is big time, very big time. But his team went to the playoffs, and we kind of expected Paolo Banchero to just take that next step as a number 1 pick, a Duke guy. We've seen what his game is: NBA body, NBA ready. Like, he's really, really ready to go. But for Wemby to be in his second year, coming off the Olympics, where he actually dominated a lot of games, but you could tell his body still isn't NBA ready, but his skills are so far advanced to where he can drop 50, albeit against the Wizards, albeit, in a 20-point win at home with Chris Paul feeding him assist after assist. A lot of these shots came on jumpers. A lot of these shots came off of three-pointers. Chris, what do you make of Wemby shooting for 50 points and leading the Spurs to a 139-130 win at home?
Well, first of all, shout out to Greg Popovich, obviously legendary coach, first ballot Hall of Famer. Hope he recovers. We just found out he
had a stroke.
Just suffered a mild stroke, and it's being labeled a mild stroke, so hopefully it's not super, super serious where the rest of his career is now in jeopardy. But it sounds like he's going to miss some time right now. Wouldn't shock me if he misses the rest of the season just to get himself right. But yeah, no, the Spurs came up with a nice win tonight. Wemby is special. We all know that. Victor Wembanyama is there's a reason why they call him the alien. The guy is, 7'5". He could dominate the game on both ends of the floor. We haven't really seen him dominate offensively, and tonight was an example of what could be. That's the thing. So he still has to become a more efficient offensive player. He's only in his second year, and this is the kind of game where, if nothing else, Chaez, if you don't want to put that much stock into it, because you're right, it is the Wizards, and they don't really have anyone that can match up with them. I mean, he buried his fellow countryman Alex Sarr tonight. He fed that dude a freaking baguette like nobody's business, man. I tell you, exactly. Comment allez-vous, Alex? So, hey, merci beaucoup, my goodness.
Look at this French guy.
With a little bit of, and I'm sure Victor doesn't smoke, but wouldn't shock me,
So you liked it,
but yeah, no,
he was getting off.
Yeah, no, it was good. I would just like to see more offensive consistency. I don't want to see 50 every night, but I would like to just see more offensive consistency.
He was
against other great teams.
The Wizards are not a great team, so there are not other great teams that he has scored 50 on. But he was 18 of 29 from the field. He shot 50% from three. 8 of 16. I mean, he was plus 13, and he only played 32 minutes and scored 50 points. Like,
yeah,
that's almost as efficient as it gets. So
it does. I'm not talking about efficiency. I'm talking about there was questions about consistency and efficiency coming into this game. I am hoping that the confidence you talked to earlier about confidence, the confidence that he gets in this game he could build on against better opponents moving forward. That's all I'm saying. Well, where now he can't, I could be more efficient. I know who I am offensively. And, maybe the chemistry with him and CP3 is getting better. I mean, look, CP3 turned David West into an all-star those years in New Orleans. He turned Tyson Chandler into a credible player. Guys like Carl Landry and Jarrett Jack and Marco Bellinelli. I mean, he took those guys to a playoff. They challenged the Lakers one year in the playoffs. We know what CP3 can do, which is why it was a savvy pickup, especially for a guy like Wemby. So hopefully that continues moving forward.
Answer this for me. Is Wemby going to be an all-star? I'm not asking if he's an all-star right now. Obviously so.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be
he'll be an all-star.
He'll be voted an all-star this year? Okay.
Yeah, if
Spurs are 6-6, 5-2 at home.
Reserves,
so you gotta win.
No.
You got to win some games.
He's not going to get in with the reserves like you're thinking. He'll get in with the fan vote. Trust me.
The fan vote are only
Victor
starters.
Wembanyama will get in on the fan vote. Right. He'll be a starter.
Chris.
He'll be a starter.
Over who?
He'll be a starter.
Over who? Over AD?
I think it'll be – no, I think that's your front court. AD, Wemby,
Bron.
Joker. Yeah, Bron maybe as a guard, that'll be a little tricky, but I think he gets in. It wouldn't shock me though. Unfortunately, hold on. It wouldn't shock me if it's Wemby, Bron, Joker, and then AD gets in as a reserve.
No fucking way. With AD as a number one leading NBA candidate right now, I mean, barring injury.
Trust me, we've seen weirder things happen.
KD as well. Obviously he's got the little injury now, but like KD,
the fan vote. It's the fan vote.
I do not think. I think you're out of your mind to think that fans will vote Wemby over Jokic, MVP, LeBron, one of the greatest players ever, KD and AD playing the way that he's playing right now. Wemby can't even sniff AD's jockstrap right now with the way AD is playing. Like,
it's the fan vote. It's the fan vote.
Look,
it's the
fans have different opinions, but I don't think there's any large group of fans that would put Wemby over AD, Bron, KD, and Yoke, especially with how they're doing. So,
you know what?
I agree with you. I do think that Wemby's an all-star, but on the coaches' vote as a reserve, not a starter. Mark it down. Where's your post-it note? Get yourself a post-it note so that you can fucking.
Oh, no, I don't need. I got it right here, dog. Here, 11:13 at 10:30. Us rambling, like what did Bokeem Woodbine say in Ray? Sitting here in the dark arguing with you about nothing.
Good shit.
Yeah. You and I are Ray Charles, and I believe his name was Fathead Newman.
I'm not sitting here in the dark arguing about nothing. Get your ass on. Good shit. Fat. Come on, Fat.
When you
give me a hit, Fat.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Hey, when you're high, man, and you're trying to cop.
For those of you that haven't seen Ray, we just went off on a little tangent. I got a quick pick. We only got 2 minutes before we got to get out of here. Very good show, fun show. Appreciate you guys tapping in with us. For those of you that have, but I believe after what week is this? I think since we started picks.
Week 11.
But since we started picks officially about 6 shows ago, I believe I'm 2-3 so far.
Yeah, you muffed the thanks to Jake Moody.
But like
you muffed the Niners.
The San Fran pick was by a half point. The pick that I had last week for the Jets hit, obviously, and Pittsburgh hit. For the most of the season, for the one pick that I did give.
By the way, no. The Cards pick was mine. I said
right.
Cardinals.
No, I didn't take credit for the Cardinals.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, I thought you were.
But last week's pick, I was completely way off with my who did I take? Oh, the Niners at 5.5, who would have covered 5.5 had their Jake Moody made that field goal and didn't have Debo mush his holder in the face. But my pick for this week is an absolute banger. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Too many. Why is the line so high on a defensive matchup between Pittsburgh and Baltimore for the division lead? So, I mean, Baltimore 7-3, Pittsburgh is 7-2, I believe. Whoever wins this game will be tied and obviously have the tiebreaker and have the division in a stranglehold at that point. So, too many points.
That's a push.
Too many.
Yeah.
Too many points. Well, you got to take 47.5. So, I don't think there is no push here. It's definitely going under.
No, it's going to be a push, and I'll tell you why. I think it's going to be a 21-18 kind of game. I don't know why. It's going to be like that 17-4. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Those are two teams that are going to get after it. It's either going to be a defensive grind out or both offenses are going to show up, which I don't think – if I just looking at these two teams' history, that it's going to go, I think, more in the former. What I said, a defensive grind out. But you know what? Give the Steelers credit, man. That's a big-time win last week against Washington. And Russell Wilson, I thought Fields was surviving.
Wilson to Mike Williams.
Yeah, and by the way, Mike Williams, that was to quote the grandma from Nutty Professors, Mike Williams. Oh my goodness, Mike Williams. Well, it was actually Mike Douglas, but yeah, Mike Williams, big trade deadline acquisition along with Preston Smith. So I thought Steelers were one of the big winners of the deadline. They just have solid pieces, and you know what? That receiver core now. I was telling my girl last week. We were watching the game, like that receiver core starting to take shape. You got Pickens, now you got Williams, you've got the tight end who's the fake Heath Miller, Freiermuth, I think his name is. You got Van Jefferson in there, and you got the law offices of Harris and Warren in the backfield. So they've got a solid team, and the defense, we all know what they're capable of doing. So I agree. Under on the 47, and I'm going to go with the push. That's just me.
Push on what? What do you think? Push.
No. The point spread is 3 points right now. Ravens are favored by 3. I think.
You think it's a put? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
On the winner of the game, I think.
So
the Ravens find a way to win.
Okay,
but I think
you're looking for a hook. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm looking for a 4-point win, but
don't play the spread. Just take the under and put all your money on that because it's definitely under. Now watch, the point spread is probably going to tick down back to 47, back to 46.5. So we'll see. But that's my pick of the week, and we're getting back to 500 after this week. Chris, great show. Appreciate you guys tapping in. Another great week. We're coming with the heat week after week, taking no weeks off. You guys know where to follow me on Instagram at Chaez P, on Twitter at Chaez Pearson. Chris, where can they follow you, my man?
By the way, I like Washington money line Thursday night. I just wanted to put that out
over the Eagles.
Quick. Money line, they're right now over the Eagles. I like that. I don't know why. I think the Eagles are due for a loss right now, and I could see Sirianni shooting himself in the foot like he always does because he doesn't know how to handle extra points. So I'm just saying Washington could be due for a bounce back. I always like road dogs for some reason, or the Steelers loss was a sign of things to come. So it's going to go one of those two directions. I don't know why. I just like the Commanders on Thursday. Okay. Yes. Follow me at Twitter, at Chris_Camello, Instagram, CCamello1. I'm also on Facebook as well. Good show tonight, partner. Lakers 6-0 at home. I've won 3 in a row, 7-4. Let's take some of that home cooking and bring it on the road. That's the next task for the Lakers. In addition to shoring up the bench, shoring up the front court.
Let's see what happens. Appreciate you guys tapping in. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.